Let me ask you a brutal question of the ones that hurt but you need. Listen, how much longer are you going to keep waiting for someone to come to rescue you? Because, look, my dear reader, here among us, that Prince Charming you imagined is never going to knock on your door. And if he touches, he's probably coming to charge you something. No, to give you nothing. Stay with me until the end of this video because I'm going to reveal to you the secret that the industry of romantic love he doesn't want you to know. The one that can transform your life in the next 30 days. But first, I need that you do something for me, for yourself in reality. Hit the subscribe button right now because what we're going to talking today is not a fairy tale. It's an emotional survival manual for smart women who are, you're sick of this nonsense. And if you know any friends, sisters, or cousin who needs to hear this, share this video with him. Believe me, you're going to be thanked in a few hours. Now, yes, let's get into the subject. I'm Walter. Rizzo, a clinical psychologist, and I have been more than 40 years into this business of the human mind. I've seen everything. Believe me, I have heard thousands of stories of bright, capable, beautiful women who were left waiting for the husband to change, waiting for the children to appreciate, waiting for life to get better, waiting. And in the meantime, life runs away from them like water between the fingers. Today we are going to talk about something that I am passionate about and that, frankly, I indignant when I see that it is not said with clarity. How to get ahead even if no one is at your side. And be careful, when I say nobody, I speak literally. No partner, no children, attentive, not unconditional friends, no sympathetic family, no one. You and your reflection in the mirror. Because let me tell you something. I learned many years in my practice. The most painful loneliness is not physical, it's the emotional one. You can be surrounded by people and feel completely alone, and you can be physically alone and feel full. The difference is in how you relate to yourself. Before continue, I want you to comment here. Get down. Without fear, you scoundrel. Have you ever felt lonely even though you're accompagné? Just write yes or no. I need to know that we are connected in this conversation. And if this topic resonates with you, already, share this video. There are millions of women who need to hear this, but they don't even know where to start to. Looking for answers. Look, I'm going to make you brutally honest from the start, because that's the way I work, and because I respect your intelligence too much, as if to sweeten reality for you. The society lied to you. They told you that your value depended on being in a couple. They said that a woman alone is a woman incomplete. They told you that at a certain age, there are no more options. They filled the head with garbage, romanticona, which is only good for selling movies and novels, but that in life, real leaves you more empty than a promise of a politician. And the worst thing of all is that you fell for it. Not for silly, but because they put it in us since we were little girls, like who programs a computer. Since the tales of princesses, even the telenovelas, the whole message was the same. You need someone to be someone. Then let me to tell you something. That's a lie, a big lie like a cathedral. And today, let's take apart that lying piece by piece, brick by brick, until see the naked and shining truth that he was always there. The first truth, uncomfortable, that we have to face is this one. No one is coming to save you. No one. And if someone tells you that he's going to doing so, he's probably lying to you, or he's lying to himself. Because, look, every single person on this planet is dealing with his own demons, their own wounds, their own fears, waiting for someone to stop all that, decide to focus on rescuing you. It's being generous, unrealistic. It is how to expect that in the middle of a hurricane, someone go out and look specifically your lost umbrella. It's not going to happen, and it's okay that it doesn't happen because you know what? You don't need to be rescued. You need to learn to swim. Great difference. For years, I worked with women who came to my consultation with the same speech. It's just that I delivered everything. It's just that I gave my best. Is that I was hoping that he and I would listen to them with empathy, of course, because the pain is real and he deserves respect. But after a time, I was telling them, all right, we already cried. What had to cry? Now tell me, what are you going to do differently? And here came the silence. That silence, uncomfortable from the one who has no answer, because the question was never asked. Correct. The question is not, why did it happen to me? The question is, what am I going to do? Now that I know what I know, I'm going to tell you something personal, something I don't tell much, but that's the point. When I arrived at Colombia from Italy, being a child, I didn't know anyone. Well, he knew my family, but they were also lost, trying to adapt. No, we had money, we had no contacts, we had no support network. My old man, I was working like an animal in my old park. He worked miracles with 4 pesos to give us to eat. And I, an Italian boy, trying to fit in a new country with a strange accent and without understanding many social codes. Was it easy? No. Someone came to help us. Not either. We had to manage on our own. And do you know what I learned from that experience? That resilience is not a gift that some have and some don't. It is a skill that develops when you don't. There is another option left. It's like a muscle. If you don't use it, it will atrophy. But if you work, gets stronger. And you, my dear reader, you have that muscle. The thing is, maybe you've been wearing so much time without using it that you forgot that you have. Now, well, let's talk about something that fascinates me like psychologist, and that it is fundamental to understand why it is so hard for us to be alone. The attachment, the famous attachment. All we've heard about it, but most people don't really understand what it means. The attachment. It is a primitive need for connection we have since babies. When you are a helpless creature, you need someone take care of you or you die, literally. So your brain develops this alarm system that is activated every time that you perceive separation or abandonment. That system saved your life when you were baby. The problem is that many people have been activated for always, like a car alarm that it stops ringing, and then they live in panic, constant at the possibility of being alone. No, because being alone is objectively dangerous, but because his primitive brain is still, he thinks he is. This is important, so pay attention. Your brain is not distinguished between real danger and danger imagined. For him, a threat is a threat. So when you feel that horrible fear of being alone, your body, he reacts as if literally you were in mortal danger. Cortisol is triggered, the heart, your muscles tighten, you go in survival mode, and in that state, you make horrible decision. You stay with whom you shouldn't, you put up with what you don't, you must. You beg for love where there is none. All because your brain is convinced that the alternative is to die. But here's the good news. The news that can change your life. You can reprogramming that system. It is called neuroplasticity. Your brain is not a carved stone. It is more like a modeling dough. It can change, adapt, learn, and if he learned to be afraid, he can, learning not to have it. Do you want to know how is that done? Stay with me, because In a few minutes, I'm going to give you exercises, specific, concrete, that you can start applying today. But before, I need you to understand something else. There is the difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Being alone is one circumstance. Feeling lonely is an interpretation. And the interpretations, my dear reader, they can be changed. I can be physically just a Saturday night and spend it great reading a good book, listening to music that I like, cooking me something delicious, or I can be in a party surrounded by 100 people and feeling miserable just because no one really understands me. The loneliness, it's not the absence of people. The loneliness, it is the absence of connection. Significant. And the first connection, significant, that you need to build is with yourself. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, Walter, but that's connecting with myself sounds really nice, but I don't even know where to start. Don't worry, we're going step by step. First, you need to understand that for years, decades, you've probably been disconnected from yourself. How do I know? Because if you were connected, no, you'd be looking outside for what just he can be found inside. Disconnect of itself is a mechanism of survival that many women, they develop. You disconnect because it hurts less. You focus on others, on their needs, in their problems, in their wishes. You become an expert in reading the moods of others, but you have no idea what yours is. Own. They ask you, how are you? And you automatically respond well, without even check it internally. It is like living on autopilot. It works, yes, but you don't live. And then came the time to wake up. The first exercise that I want you to do. And this, it's important, so grab some paper and pencil if you can, is the exercise of the 3 minutes. It sounds simple, but it is powerful. 3 times a day, you're going to stop whatever you're doing and you're going to ask, what am I feeling now? Himself? And it's not worth answering anything or I don't know. Search, dig, connect with your body. There is tension in the shoulders, pressure on the chest, butterflies in the stomach, not in the throat. Your body is always talking. What happens is that you left of listening. Then identify the physical sensation first. Then name the emotion. It's sadness, anxiety, anger, frustration. Why? Finally, and this is crucial, valid, that emotion. Say, it's okay to feel this. It's normal. It's human. Don't judge her. No. Try to change it. Just acknowledge it. That's connecting with yourself. And if you do this religiously for 30 days, 3 times a day, I guarantee you that something is going to change in you. Not because I am a guru or anything like that, but because it's basic neuroscience. You are creating new neural connections. You're training your brain to pay attention to your inner world. Now, let's talk about something that I am constantly in consultation, and that, frankly, takes me out of my front. Casillas, the belief that you need a partner to be happy. Look, I don't have anything against couples. In fact, a healthy relationship can be wonderful. But look at what I said. A relationship, sana. And to have a healthy relationship, you need to be a healthy person first, individuated, complete in yourself. Because if you enter into a relationship from the lack, since he needs you to be happy, what you are creating is not a relationship, is a dependency. And the dependencies are not love. They are addictions. And the addictions, they destroy. I'm going to give you a fact that maybe it will surprise you. Studies, longitudinal studies, that is, studies that they follow people for years, it has been shown that single women, they report higher levels of happiness and health than women in relationships unsatisfactory. What does that tell us? That it is better to be alone than poorly accompanied. It seems obvious, doesn't it? But then, why do so many women stay in relationships that wither them? Out of fear. Fear of being alone. Afraid of what they will say. Fear of not finding anyone else. Fear, fear, fear. And fear, my dear reader, is the worst counselor there is. Let me explain something to you about fear from the cognitive behavioral perspective, which is in my school. Fear is not the problem. Fear is a natural emotion and necessary. The problem is when the fear paralyzes you or makes you take decisions against your well-being. This is called avoidance behavior. You avoid being alone, then you stay with whom you should not. You avoid the pain of the breakup, then you put up with years of unhappiness. You avoid. Yigrik. Every time you avoid something out of fear, that fear is getting stronger. It's like feeding a monster. Every time that you feed him grows. But here, there's the interesting part. Every time that you face what you fear and survive, the fear is weakening. It's called an exhibition. And it's the most effective technique we have in psychology to deal with fears and phobias. So, what do we do with your afraid of being alone? We faced it. No. All of a sudden, I'm not going to ask you to resign to everything tomorrow. But yes, gradually and systematic. You start with small, a dose of voluntary solitude. On a Saturday, at night you stay at home doing something you enjoy instead of going out or staying glued to the phone, waiting for messages. On a Sunday, you are going to having breakfast alone at a nice cafe. And do you take a book or just you watch? You go to the cinema alone. You travel alone to a nearby place for a day. And every time, when you do, your brain registers, hey, I was alone and nothing bad happened. In fact, it was even pleasant. And little by little, that irrational fear is going away, diluting. It does not disappear from one day to another one, but it becomes manageable. You stop from see it as a deadly threat and you start to see it as what it is, a circumstance, neutral, that can be even pleasurable if you learn to enjoy it. Now, let's talk about something that hurts, but that we need to discuss: age. I know that many of you who are listening to this, they are between 45 and 5 and 60 years, some more, some less, but this is the predominant range. And I know also that society has brought them into the head that its value decreases with every birthday, that after a certain age are no longer desirable, that their options are over, that the market of the love, like it's a fucking market of fruits, he doesn't want them anymore. Then let me to tell you something, that's rubbish. Rubbish, patriarchal to be precise, designed to keep you small and safe and desperate. Because a woman who is sure of herself, a woman who knows her worth, a woman who doesn't need validation outside, that woman is dangerous for a system that benefits from your insecurity. The reality, objective and verifiable, is that the women in their 40 seconds, 50 seconds, 60 seconds are in his best moment in terms of clarity, mental, emotional stability, and self-knowledge. You don't have time anymore for nonsense. You already know what you want and what you don't. You want to. You can no longer stand what you'd hang in there in your 20 seconds or 30 seconds. No longer you settle for crumbs. That's not a defect. It is an evolution. It is wisdom. And wisdom, believe me, is infinitely more attractive than insecure youth. The thing is that we live in a sick culture that values the packaging than the content. But that one doesn't. It's your reality. That's your disease, and you don't have to make one your own. Cultural illness. In addition, and this, it's also important, you're not looking for everyone likes it. You don't need Everyone likes it. You just need liking yourself first, and then, if you want to find people who appreciate who you really are, and those people exist. Of course, that they exist, but you won't find them if you are operating out of desperation. The desperation, it smells. People perceive it even if they don't. I know how to name it. It's like an energy, sticky, that repels. Instead, the self-sufficiency, emotional, attracts a woman who is fine with herself, who enjoys his life, who doesn't need, but she might want some company. That woman, she's magnetic because she's not begging, he's offering. And there is a difference, huge, between begging and offering. Let's do a pause to reflect on something that we have already traveled. If you have arrived so far, congratulations. That already says something about you. He says that you are a woman who is looking for real answers, not fairy tales. And that's exactly what you need to get ahead. Now, before continue, I need you to do something. Share this video with that friend who you know he needs it. You know who I'm talking about, that friend who she complains about being alone, but she does nothing to change his situation. That friend who keeps waiting for her ex come back. That friend who is wasting her better years in someone who doesn't rate. Send him this video. It may be the push you need to get started on your own transformation. Let's go now to something practical, very practical, because the theories are nice, but if not, the going down to the ground is of no use. I want to tell you about the concept of life plan. Sounds formal, doesn't it? But it does not have for what to be. A life plan is simply a roadmap of where to you want to go. Because look, if you don't know A, where are you going? Any road serves you and you'll probably end up lost. Most people, and this includes a lot of women I see in consultation, they don't have a plan. They are living in reactive mode, responding to the demands of others. The circumstances, to whatever comes. Why? That's not living, that's surviving. Living is something else. To live is to have direction, purpose, intention. So grab some paper and pencil for real, or open a document on your computer if you're more technological, and we're going to do an exercise. First, ask your question. If you had a magic wand and you could designing your ideal life 5 years from now, what would it be like? And don't come to me with limitations. Don't tell me, oh, but it's that I can't, because we're on the ground of possibilities, not impossibilities. Where do you live? What's your house like? To what do you dedicate yourself? What is a typical day like for you? Who do you spend your time with? What are you doing? To have fun? How is your health? How is your economy? What have you achieved? What are you proud of? He writes. Write in detail, because when you are writing, you are activating areas of your brains that don't activate just by thinking. You are making the abstract concrete. You're turning a vaga desira into a specific goal. Now, part 2 of the exercise. Of everything that you wrote, choose 3 things. The most important can be 3 areas of your life or 3 specific goals, that you want, but only 3. Why? Only 3? Because if you try to make all at the same time, you're going to disperse and you're not going to achieve anything. The brain, human, is not designed to focus on 20 things simultaneously. He needs clear priorities. Then choose 3, and for each one, you are going to define concrete actions. I'm not going to be anymore happy. That's very abstract. If I'm not going to take a painting class on Tuesdays because painting makes me happy, do you see the difference? One is vague intention, another is specific action. And the specific actions are the ones that they produce results. Now, and here it comes, the part where most fail. You're going to schedule those actions. They can't staying as good intentions. floating in the air. They have to have date and time. Next Tuesday at 6 in the afternoon, I'm going to sign up for that painting class. And you put it in your calendar, and when I arrive on Tuesday at says you do it, rain, shine, or lightning, because the difference between people who achieve their goals and that know it's not talent or luck, it's discipline, is to do what you said that you were going to do when you said you were going to do, no matter how you feel in that moment. And here comes in something very important that I want you to understand. Motivation is fickle. The motivation, it comes and goes like the waves of the sea. Some days you wake up with all the you want the world, and other days you don't want or even get out of bed. If you expect to feel motivated to take action, you are going to spend the half of your life waiting. The key is not motivation, it's the commitment. It's that promise you make to yourself, and that you fulfill even if you don't feel like it. Because every time you fulfill a commitment to yourself, by small as it is, you are strengthening your self-esteem. You are showing your brain that you are a reliable person, that if you say something, you do it, and that, believe me, it's transformative. It is the basis of self-confidence. It is not born from nothing. It is built with consistent actions. Now, let's talk about something that I know many of you are facing, the guilt, that horrible feeling that you should be doing something different, being someone different, feeling something different. Guilt is one of the most toxic emotions that exist when it is not well directed. Because look, guilt has a function, adaptive. He's supposed to show up when you do something that goes against your values for you to correct the course. It's like a moral compass. The problem is that many women, they installed irrational guilt. You feel guilty for thinking about yourself. You feel guilty for setting limits. You feel guilty for saying no. You feel guilty for not being available. 247 for everyone. And that guilt, my dear reader, it has nothing to do with your real values. It's learned guilt, installed guilt, manipulative guilt. Let me give you a clear example. You have an elderly mother who requires care, and as a good daughter, you want to take care of her. But you also need time for yourself, for your life, for your mental health. So you hire someone who will help a few hours a day, or you take her to a day center, and you feel guilty as if you had committed a crime, as if taking care of yourself is a betrayal. But the truth is that you can't give an empty well. If you get exhausted completely, you are of no use to anyone, nor to your mom, not to yourself. Then taking care of yourself is not selfishness. It is survival, is intelligence. Emotional, it's maturity. Or this other case, you've been in a relationship for years that it works. You've tried everything already. Therapy, couples, conversations, changes, promises, nothing. The relationship is dead. And you know that the best thing would be finish it, but you feel guilty. And if he doesn't, he can by himself. And if I hurt him, and if I regret it later, and you stay, you stay not because of love, but because of guilt. And that's not noble. It's cowardice, disguised as kindness, because by hurting yourself, you are wasting your years. And besides you are preventing that person from following his own way. No one wins in that scenario. Everyone loses. Then we need to redefine guilt. The guilt healthy is the one that appears when you betray your values and it drives you to change. Toxic guilt is the one that it appears when you do something good for yourself, but that contradicts other people's expectations. And you have to learn to differentiate them. Every time you feel guilty, ask yourself, did I really do something wrong? Or did I just something that others didn't like? If the answer is the second thing, discard that guilt It's not yours. It is the echo of voices that you were programmed to put the everyone's needs before the yours. And that program is obsolete. It's time to update it. Now I want that reflections on something. How many important decisions in your life have taken to avoid blame instead of to seek your happiness? Think about it. Don't respond to me, respond to you, herself. And if the answer is many, then you know why you are where you are. It's not bad luck. It's not destiny. It's not that the universe is conspiring against you. Are the consequences of decisions that you made out of fear and guilt rather than from love, own, and clarity. And the good news is that if your decisions brought you here, new decisions can lead you somewhere else. You always, always, always have the option to choose different. Let's go now to a subject that I am passionate about, and that is essential if you really want to get out. Go ahead, economic autonomy. Because, look, you can have all the clarity, emotional of the world, but if you depend financially of someone, your freedom, it is limited. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I say that because it's the truth. Money does not buy happiness. Of that, true, but the lack of money does buy a lot of problems, and especially the economic dependence puts you in a position of vulnerability that may be dangerous. I've seen brilliant women, capable, trapped in relationships, horrible, because they had no way to stand on their own. And that breaks me the heart, because I know that with a little planning and a lot of courage could to have left. But the economic fear is paralyzing. So if you're in that situation, or if you are at risk of listen to me well, you need to build your economic independence, and you need it yesterday. Now, how is it done? That? It depends on your particular situation. Sure, if you have a job, but your salary is barely enough for you, you need a plan to increase your income. It can be asking for a raise if you deserve it, and they didn't give it to you. It can be by changing jobs to one better paid. It can be developing new skills that make you more valuable in the labor market. It may be starting a side business, something that you can do in your free hours. No, I'm telling you to make it easy. I'm saying it's necessary. Yes, no, you have a job because you spent years to the house and the kids, and now you don't know, not even where to start. I understand that it can be terrifying, but it is also possible. There are women who, at the age of 50, they started from scratch and they built successful businesses. There are women who returned to study, they trained and got good jobs. It's not too late as long as you're alive, and it's not impossible as long as you're willing to make the effort. The first thing is to do an honest diagnosis of your situation. Financial. How much do you spend per month? How much do you need to live with dignity? How much do you have saved? How much do you owe? Clear numbers without self-deception. Then identify your skills and resources. What do you know how to do? What do you know? Is it okay? What do you have that can become an income? Cooking, sewing, organizing, cleaning, taking care of children or elderly, teaching, writing, designing, sell. We all have something to offer. The problem is that sometimes we minimize our skills because we see them as something common or worthless. But what, for you, it is common for another. It may be, okay, I tried this and no, it worked. What can I learn from this? What would you do differently next time? And you go on. Because the alternative, to stay where you are for fear of failing, is a guaranteed failure, is to choose defeat without even fight. And you didn't make it this far in the life to give up now. Let me to ask you something that I want you to seriously consider. What is the worst thing that can happen if do you try something new and it fails? Seriously, Think about it. Are you going to die? Isn't he going to? Is the world ending? Aren't you going to learn anything useful? You're probably going to show that you have courage, without a doubt. Then the actual risk is much lower of what your fear makes you believe, and the possible reward to get back your autonomy and your power is infinitely major. Now, let's change the subject time to talk about something I know that several of you are experiencing: the social invisibility. That feeling that as you get older, people see you less. Men no longer, they turn to see you on the street, the waiters. They take care of you later. The society in general treats you like you're a furniture, and that hurts. It hurts because during years your value was associated with your appearance and to your ability to be desired by men. And now that those parameters change, you feel that you lost your courage. But let me tell you something that was never your real value. That it was the value that a society, superficial and patriarchal, assigned you. You, real value, never had anything to do with that. Your real value is in your intelligence, in your experience, in your wisdom, in your ability to love, in your resilience, in your creativity, in your compassion, in your strength, in your authenticity. And all those things don't diminish with the age, they increase. So if you feel invisible, ask yourself, invisible to whom? For types, superficial people who only value bodies, perfect young people. Don't let them see you. Don't you need. They are losing from, to meet a complete woman, interesting, profound. His loss does not yours. And there's also something liberating about that, invisibility. If you know how to use it to your please, you no longer have to be aware, what will they think of you? You don't have to anymore, trying to impress no one. You can be yourself without filters. You can say what you think. You can dress up however you want. You can occupy space without apologizing. That, the invisibility that you fear so much, can become your superpower if you change the narrative. Instead of "no one, me anymore," go, you can say, "I can finally be me without the noise of external judgments." Do you see the difference? Same situation, interpretation completely different. And the interpretation, as I told you, principle, is everything. Your reality is not what happens to you, is what you do with what's wrong with you, is the story that you tell about what's happening to you. And if the story you're telling yourself is not healthy for no one, the difference is that these connections must be of quality, not quantity. It is better to have 2 or 3 genuine friendships than 20 superficial acquaintances. And those genuine friendships are characterized by reciprocity, out of respect, out of mutual support. They are not relationships where you always give and the another always receives. They are not relationships where you have to pretend to be someone who you're not. They are not toxic relationships that drain you instead of feeding you. They are relationships where you can be yourself, where you feel safe being vulnerable, where there are laughs and you can also cry, where there is honesty and also compassion. And if you don't have those friendships, now you can build them. It's not easy making new friends after a certain age. I know most people already, he has his established circles, but not, it's impossible. It requires you to put yourself in situations where to meet new people, classes, groups, volunteering, clubs, activities, and requires you to take the initiative that you are the one who proposes. Have a coffee after class, which be you the one who invites, be you who makes the effort, because if you wait, let others come to you, you can wait a long time. Most of the people, she is so absorbed in her own lives that he won't notice that you need. Friendship unless you make it obvious. Why? Yes, there is risk in taking the initiative. They may reject you, they may not be interested, they may not. It works, but it may also work. Maybe that person is just like you, looking for genuine connection, but without know how to start it. It may be that return an important friendship in your life. You won't know if you don't try. So take a chance. Get out of your zone of loose comfort. Invite, call, propose. Be the friend that you would like to have, and eventually, if you keep trying, you'll define your tribe, your people, those people you connect with, genuinely, but also, and this is crucial, learn to enjoy your own company. Because if you can't, being at ease with yourself, one amount of friendships is going to fill that empty. The most important relationship that you have in life is the relationship with you, herself. It is the only guaranteed relationship that will last until your last day. All the others can be finished. People leave, die, move away, but you will always be with you. Then it better be a company. Nice. And how is that grown? With self-compassion, with kind internal dialogue, with care, personal, with respect to yourself. Think about how you talk to someone who you love, probably with patience, with tenderness, with understanding. Now think about how you talk to yourself, herself, probably with harshness, with criticism, with judgment. You're a fool. You never do anything right. You are old and ugly. No one is going to love you. Would you tell him those things to someone you love? Of course no. So why are you telling them to? This internal cruelty has to stop. It has to be replaced by internal kindness. Every time Cash is telling you something mean, stop and ask yourself, would I say this to my best friend if I was going through the same thing? If the answer is no, then reformulate the thought. Instead of, you're a fool to have trusted him, say, you trusted because you are a person of good heart. It's not your fault that he betrayed that confidence. Do you see the difference? Same event, interpretation completely different. One destroys you, the other protects you. The self-pity, it's not complacency. That's not to say, poor thing about me and stay there. It is, treat you with the same kindness as you would treat another human being who is suffering. Is to recognize that the suffering is part of the experience, human, that we all screw up, that we all have limitations, that we are doing the best we can with the resources we have in this. Wait a minute. And from that place of understanding, it's easier to get up and follow. Go ahead, because you're not also carrying the weight from the self-flagellum. Now let's talk about goals and projects, because one of the most effective way to get ahead is to have something to wake up for every morning, a purpose, a project, a goal, something that excites you, that gives meaning to your days. Because if every day is exactly the same, if there is nothing that waiting, it's easy to fall into depression. The human being needs goals. He needs the feeling of progress, of being going somewhere. Now, you don't have to be something great. You don't have to cure cancer and not writing the next big novel. It may be something simple, but meaningful to you. Learning an language, grow a garden, write a blog, take a course, undertake a small business, volunteering, adopting a pet, traveling to a place that you always wanted to know, whatever, to make you feel alive, to make you to feel that you are growing, that you are learning, that you are contributing. And the key is to divide that big goal into small and actionable steps. Because if you only see the end goal and it's far away, you get overwhelmed and paralyzed. But if divide it into micrometers, in steps you can take today, a week, this month, it becomes manageable. If your goal is to learn English, the first step is not to speak fluent English. It is enroll in a course, download one application. Then it is to study 50 minutes a day. Then is to complete the first lesson. And so step by step, eventually you get there. But you start with the first step, always with the first. I step in and celebrate every little accomplishment. No, you wait to achieve the final goal too. Feeling good. Celebrate the progress. I studied my 15 minutes today, although I was in the mood. That is worthy of celebration. I went to the gym this week, 3 times as I proposed. Be happy. No, I'm saying buy yourself a car. Every time you accomplish something small, but admit it. Give yourself a little treat. Tell yourself, well done. Because those reinforcements, positive, they train your brain to keep doing that works. It is conditioning, basic operant. If a behavior is followed by something nice, increases the probability that it will be repeated. Then use that to your advantage. Now I want to talk of something that is difficult but necessary. The forgiveness. Not the forgiveness of others, which it's important, but it's not my point. Now, forgiveness towards yourself, because many of you are carrying one huge amount of guilt and remorse because of past decisions. If there were, ended that relationship earlier. If I had studied that career, if I hadn't spent that money, if it had been better mother, yes. And that one does keep you stuck in the past, unable to live the present. Look, we all make decisions, which in retrospect were mistakes. All, without exception, because we take decisions with the information, the maturity and the resources we had in that moment to judge you now with all the information and perspective that you have. Now, for what you did then is unfair. It's like reproaching yourself for 5 years for not knowing how to solve equations. Quadratic. I didn't know that because she was a 5-year-old girl. And you, me from 10, 20 years ago, I didn't know what. What do you know now? He did the best he could with what I had. So you need forgive you. You need to say, yes, I made that decision. It wasn't the best. It had consequences. I learned from her and now I let her go because as long as you keep carrying that weight, no, you can move forward. It's like trying to run with a backpack full of stones. Drop the stones. They are good for nothing. They're just hurting you. And this does not, it means that you deny reality or that don't take responsibility. Of course, there are things you did wrong, but there are also context. There are also external factors. There is also grace. Give yourself grace. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Give yourself another opportunity. Because if you don't give it to yourself, who will? Will he? There is an exercise that I like to do with patients who have a lot difficulty forgiving yourself. I ask you to write a letter from your current self towards its past self. That me, who made the mistake that they can't forgive. And in that letter, they explain to him with pity why he acts like that. They tell him that they understand, that they don't judge her, that they appreciate what he tried to do, even though he didn't come out. Well, they forgive her. And then they read that letter out loud, as if they were really talking to him, to that past version of themselves. Why? They cry. They almost always cry, because this is the first time they have allowed compassion towards themselves, and it is liberating. It's like taking off a weight that you've carried for years. So if you need to do that, exercise. Do it. Write that letter and then burn it if you want as a ritual of letting go or save it for. Reread it when the guilt comes back, which it works for you. Let's go now to a topic which I find fascinating and which has a lot to do with getting ahead. The growth mindset versus fixed mentality. This is a concept of Carol Dweck, a psychologist at Stanford. It changed the way I see a lot of things. The fixed mindset is to believe that your capabilities, your intelligence, your worth, immutable characteristics. You either have them or you don't. You were born so, period. So, when something doesn't it comes out. You conclude, I'm no good for this, and you give up. The mentality of growth, on the other hand, is to believe that your skills can be developed with effort, strategy, and persistence. You weren't born knowing, you learned. And if not, you know something yet, you can learn it. You see, the difference with fixed mindset, the failure defines who you are. I failed, then I'm a failure. With mentality of growth, failure is information. This didn't work. What can I learn and what will I do differently next time? One, it paralyzes you. The other one drives you, and you can cultivate a growth mindset. It's not something you're born with. It is a way of seeing the world that he can learn. Start by pay attention to your internal dialogue. When something's not coming out, what do you say? If it is no, I'm useless, I'll never be able to. You are in a fixed mindset. Change the language. I still can't. I'm not serving yet, but I can learn. I have not achieved this, but if I keep trying, I'm going to get better. That still does all the difference because it introduces the temporal dimension. It is not a sentence. Permanent is a temporary state that can change and celebrates the effort, not only the result. If you tried something new and it didn't come out perfect, but you did, the effort, that's worth it. That counts. That it is growth. Because the result, often it is not under your control. There are the circumstances, the luck, external factors, but the effort it's under your control. So, focus in what you can control, your attitude, your effort, your persistence, and let go of what you can't control, the results, the opinions of others, the external circumstances. Let's talk now of something that you're probably feeling and that it is completely normal. Fear of the future, uncertainty. And now what? How is my life going to be of here from now on? And that fear is valid because the future is uncertain because, definition, no one knows what's going to happen. Not you, not me, not anyone. And that can be scary, or it can be liberating, depending on how you look at it. From the terrifying prospect, the future is a threat. Something going wrong. It will probably go wrong. You're going to end up alone, poor, sick, abandoned. Your brain is always looking for threats to keep you safe. You bombard with catastrophic scenarios, and you believe them. You get anxious. No. You sleep. You get paralyzed by anxiety, and you stop to act in the present because you are too busy suffering from a future that hasn't even happened, and it will probably never happen. From the liberating perspective, the future is possibility. Anything can happen. Yes, bad things, but also things, good, amazing things you didn't even imagine. No, it's written, you're writing it, with every decision you make today. So, instead of being afraid of him, you're curious. What's going to happen? I don't know, but I'm going to do my best effort to create something good. And from that place you act. You take decisions. You move towards what you want instead of running away from what you're afraid. Now, I'm not saying that ignore the real risks. If you are 80 years and you're sick, your future, it probably includes more limitations. Physics, that's realistic. But still, within these limitations, you have options, you have agency. You can choose how you live those years, with bitterness or with dignity, with resentment or with gratitude for what that you still have with passivity, or with the intention to get the most out of it. To every day that you have left, always, there is always a margin of choice. For whatever it is, it's there. And using that margin is what keeps you human. One of the things that break my heart the most, my job is to see people who surrender. They decide that it is no longer worth the too bad to try. And I really get it. After so much pain, so much blow, so much disappointment, it's tempting to throw away the towel, but don't do it. Please don't do it, because as long as you're alive, there's possibility. There is a chance that something change. There is an opportunity for a moment of joy, of connection, of beauty. And those moments are worth it. They are worth it. Still here. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. Life, with as hard as it can be, it also has moments of grace. A beautiful sunset, a conversation, genuine, a laugh until your stomach hurts, the taste of your favorite food, the hug from someone who loves you, a achievement that you celebrate, a song that it moves the soul. These moments exist, and to experience them, you have to follow here. You have to keep trying. You have to get ahead. Then, when tiredness hits you, when feel like you can't take it anymore, give yourself permission to rest, but don't give up. Rest, and after, get up one more time and again, the times when it is necessary, because that is the definition of resilience. It is not never to fall down, is to get up every time you're falling. And you can, because already you've done it before. Every crisis that you survived, every pain that you overcame, every time they broke your heart and you moved on, you already did. So, can you do it again? Let me share something personal with you. There was a moment in my life years ago where everything collapsed at the same time. Health problems, family, professional problems, one after another, like a domino effect. Why? I remember one night alone in my apartment thinking, I don't know if I can with this. And I allowed myself to feel that I allowed myself to cry, because crying is not weakness, is liberation. And then I asked a simple question: what can I to do now at this time to make me feeling a little better? Not solving all the problems, just feeling like a little better. And the answer was to take a bath, hot. It's that simple. I took that bath, I went to bed, I slept. The next day, I got up and took a step, just one, and then another one, and another. And little by little, very slowly, I got out of that hole. Not because I was especially brave or strong, but because I kept taking baby steps, and the small steps added up eventually. They take you away. So, that's my recipe when everything seems too much. What can I do now at this moment that makes me feel a little better? It can be as simple as drinking water, like taking a deep breath 5 times, like going out for a walk around the block, like calling someone who loves you, like reading something inspiring, like listening, music that you like caressing your pet if you have one, how to do something, whatever, to remind you that not everything is lost, that there are small things, but good ones still available for you. And you hold on to those things, and from there, you start to rebuild. Now, let's talk about something I've mentioned, but I want to deepen the importance of body, because we have this idea, wrong, that the mind and the body, they are separate things, and they are not. They are a integrated system. What's going on in your body affects your mind, and vice versa. So, if you want to be well, mentally, you can't ignore your body. Exercise. You don't need to become an athlete, Olympic, but you do need to move. Walking, dancing, swimming, yoga, what? Enjoy. Because the exercise, not only it's good for your physical health, it's one of the most effective antidepressants that they exist. It is proven scientifically. When you exercise, your brain releases endorphin, serotonin, dopamine, all those neurotransmitters they make you feel good. And also the exercise, it gives you a sense of accomplishment. I walked 30 today, minutes, even though I didn't feel like it. That's right. Personal power, that's self-efficacy. Thus, to move even a little, but move to feeding. What you eat affects how you feel. Yes, you feed on junk food, full of sugar and trans fats. Your body and your brain are suffering. They do not have the nutrients they need for work well. So, eat well, eat real food, fruits, vegetables, proteins, fats, healthy. You don't have to be perfect, but yes, conscious. And get ready your food with love. Cooking for yourself. It is an act of self-care. That is, I deserve nutritious food and delicious. I dream. Sleep well. Sleep. I've had enough. Sleep is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Your brain needs to rest to processing emotions, consolidating memories, repair yourself. If you don't sleep well, it becomes more difficult. You're more irritable, more anxious, less able to handle stress. Then, prioritize your dream. Create routines that help you sleep, lie down, and get up. At the same time, avoid screens before. Seriously, put on the hands on the heart. Feel your warmth. Give yourself that comfort that your body needs. It's not weird. It's neuroscience, and it attends your basic needs without guilt. Go to bathing when you need to, eating when you're hungry, rest when you're tired. It sounds obvious, but many women ignore these basic signs because they are busy taking care of others, and that eventually disconnects you from you itself and damages your health. Then reconnect, listen to your body, give it that he needs. Now, something that you are probably experimenting, and that I want to normalize: rage, anger, especially if you come from a situation where they mistreated you, betrayed you, they used you. It's normal to be angry. It's healthy to be angry. Anger is an emotion that tells you, this is not right. Something violated my keep limits. I need to protect myself. The problem is not anger. It's that you do with him. If you suppress it, it becomes poison. It makes you sick inside. Depression, anxiety, problems, psychosomatics. If you exploit it without control, it will cause others, and it gets you in trouble. Then, you need to process it in a healthy way. Admit it first. I am angry and she is fine. Then look for safe ways to release him. Intense exercise. Writing uncensored in a newspaper. Hitting one pillow, screaming in your car with the windows closed. Whatever it is that allows you to get that energy without hurting yourself or hurting others. And then use that anger as fuel. Anger has a lot of energy. It can to be used destructively or constructively. Destructively is revenge, is to stay trapped in resentment. Constructively is, I'm going to use this anger to motivate me to get ahead, to prove to myself what I am, able to build such a good life that I'm not even going to have time to think about who hurt me. That's right, to transform poison into medicine. And it is possible. I've seen a lot of women to do it, but eventually, and this takes his time, he needs to come to forgiveness. No, for the other person, for you. Because carrying resentment is like taking poison while waiting for the other to you're hurting yourself, herself. To forgive is not to say, what? You did it right. That is, what you did it was wrong. But I'm not going to let that have power over my life. It's letting go It's freeing yourself from that person and of that event is to choose peace over the reason. And when you get there, and you'll get there, and you do the job, you're going to feel a lightness that you haven't felt in a long time. Now, something very important that I need to tell you about family relationships, because many women feel guilty for leaving family, toxic, but it's just that she's my mom, but she's my sister, but it's family. And yes, it is family. And if that family it hurts, you have the right to put distance. You have the right to put boundaries. You have the right to protect yourself. The blood bond does not force you to tolerate mistreatment. If your family criticizes you constantly, if it makes you feel bad about yourself, if manipulates you, if he does not respect your decisions, if it invalidates your feelings, if she is toxic from any form, you don't have to follow, exposing yourself to that out of obligation. You can reduce the contact, you can set clear boundaries, you can, in extreme cases, cut the contact completely. And you're not a bad person for doing it. You are a person he values enough to not accept mistreatment from anyone, not even of family. Now, ideally, you're trying to communicate first. When you do X, it makes me feel I need you to stop. You communicate clearly and firmly. And if the person respects that, excellent. There are a chance for a healthier relationship. But if he doesn't respect, if he keeps doing the same, then you act. You walk away. Because no, you can change others. You can only to change yourself and to change your circumstances. And sometimes that means walking away from people you love but who hurt you. And it's going to hurt. I'm not going to lie to you. It hurts like hell. But it's a pain, clean. It is the pain of a wound that he's finally healing instead of the chronic pain from a wound that it infects constantly. And over time, that pain lessens and you find peace. And your life gets better because you took that one away. A constant source of stress and negativity. Now let me tell you about something you might not have expected in this conversation, the spiritual aspect. Why? I don't necessarily mean religion, although if you are religious and it helps you, fantastic. I mean that part of you who is looking for meaning, purpose, connection to something bigger than you, herself. It may be nature, it may to be the art, it can be to serve others, he can be God in any of his conceptions, whatever it is that gives you the feeling that your life has a meaning beyond just surviving day by day. Because look, the human being needs meaning. She needs to feel that her life matters, that it has a purpose. And when you lose that, when it all comes down to just exist, that's when the depression, it really settles in. So, look for, or it builds meaning. What does it give you? Sense? What makes you feel connected with something transcendent? And nurture that. Give it space in your life. Because that dimension, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, is as important as physics and mental. For some, it will be meditation, sitting in silence, connecting with the present moment to find that peace interior that is always there under the noise. For others, it will be prayer. Talk to God, ask for guidance, find comfort in that relationship. For another, it will be being in nature, walking in the forest, feel the wind, see the sea, connect with the earth. For another, it will be create, paint, write, dance, cooking, expressing his soul in some tangible form. For others, it will help volunteering, taking care of someone more vulnerable, leaving this world is a little better than it. You found whatever, but find yours and make room for it, because that dimension anchors you, gives you perspective, reminds you that there are bigger things than your immediate problems, and that doesn't, it minimizes them. but puts them in context, and from that wider place, more elevated, it is easier to navigate difficulties of everyday life. Come on, let's go. Now to a practical and necessary topic: organization and habits. Because you can have all the mental clarity in the world, but if your external life is a chaos, you go to be constantly stressed. So, you need order, you need structure, you need routines that support you. Start with the basics. Your space, physical. If your house is a mess, yes, there are things everywhere. If not, you find nothing that's affecting your peace of mind. So, spend some time tidying up to clean, to organize. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look like a magazine, but it does have to be functional, that everything has its place. Let it be. Nice to be there, because your space, physical, affects your mental state. A clean and tidy space gives you feeling of control and calm. A space, chaotic, makes you anxious. Then, your daily routines. What is a typical day like? Yours? Do you have structure, or is everything random? Because we humans function better with a certain structure. You don't have to be obsessive, but I do have certain pillars. What time do you get up? What are you doing? First, when are you eating? When do you work? When do you rest? When will you? Are you having sex? These rhythms give order to your day, and that reduces the cognitive load of constantly deciding what do and create habits. Small actions that you do consistently, and that add up to a glass of water when you get up, 10 minutes of stretching, reading 15 minutes before bedtime, which, whether you want to incorporate, but start with 1 or 2 habits, not 20. Because if you try to change everything to the same time, you're going to get foggy and you're not going to achieve nothing. One habit at a time. Do it for 30 days until it becomes automatic, and then add the next one. Now, something I forgot to mention before, and that is crucial: the financial, personal. We already talked about economic autonomy in terms of generating income, but you also need to know how to handle money that you have. And most of the people, men and women alike, it's lousy for this because we were never taught. So it has to be learned. First, a budget. It sounds boring, I know, but it is fundamental. He needs to know how much goes in and how much goes out and where to your money goes. Because it's very easy to have leaks, small expenses that add up, and at the end of the month, you don't know where it went, everything. So, sit down, grab your last 3 months of expenses and analyze, categorize housing, food, transportation, services, entertainment, etc., and see where you can optimize. Where are you spending on things you don't really need, or don't they give you value, and adjust. Secondly, save, even if it's not much, even if it's 50 pesos a month, but let there be a saving habit, because that savings account, however small, whatever, it gives you psychological security. It is your emergency fund, and knowing that you have allows you to sleep better, because if something happens, you are not completely unprotected. Ideally, you want to have the equivalent of 3 to 6 months of saved expenses. It sounds like a lot, and it is, but you can achieve if you save consistently. Start with what you can and go, increasing. Third, it reduces debts. Debts are chains. They tie you up, they stress you out, they limit your options. So, if you have debts, especially card debt from credit that are very expensive, prioritize, pay for them, make a plan. It starts with the smallest debt, or the one with the highest interest. It depends on the strategy you choose, but pay for them, and when you're debt-free, no. Fall into that trap again. Use the credit with intelligence if you use it, but not as an extension of your income.